Hello 8th graders and welcome to Math Weekly number 5 where our focus skill will be using volume formulas. Let's first begin with a definition of volume. Volume is the number of cubic units that fill a three-dimensional figure. So if you look at the picture that we had on the start screen, we have a cup being filled. The idea of volume is how much will fit inside. So in your own words, you may describe volume as how many cubic units will fit inside something. To fit inside, it must be a three-dimensional figure. There are three main formulas you need to be able to use in terms of volume as 8th graders, and they are the volume formulas for cylinder, cone, and sphere. And I've provided them here for you. However, they are also available on your 8th grade PSSA formula sheet that was provided to you at the beginning of the year. So let's look at an example. A spherical balloon is filled with helium until the balloon has a diameter of 14 inches. What is the volume of the balloon? So we're saying that from one side of the balloon straight through the center to the other is 14 inches. Now return to your formula sheet, or you go back in the video. We can see that the volume formula for a sphere is volume equals 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. So the first thing that I would always like to see you write down is what that volume formula is. In this case, as we just said, the volume is equal to 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. Now the radius was not given in this problem. We were given the diameter. But remember, the diameter is twice as long as the radius. So if the diameter is 14, then the radius would be 7 inches. So we need to put the number 7 in where the radius is. So volume equals 4/3 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius, which is 7 to the third power. Now, order of operations says that exponents must be completed before multiplication. So the first thing that we need to do is do 7 times 7 times 7. 7 times 7 is 49, times 7 more. 9 times 7 is 63. 7 times 4 is 28, and 6 more makes 34. So 7 to the third power is 343. Now we're not finished because we have to take 4/3 times 3.14 times 343. I'm going to go ahead and take 343 times 3.14. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 more is 17. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. Placeholder, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 3 is 3. Two placeholders, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 3 is 9, and 1 more makes 10. So we have 2, 10, 17, 7, 10. And we have two decimal places, so we're at 1077.02. Now that we've calculated 3.14 times 343 as 1077.02, we only need to multiply this by 4/3. There are a few different options that you can use for multiplying by 4/3. You could first change 4/3 to a decimal and multiply it by 1077.02, or you can multiply 1077.02 by 4 and then divide by 3. Either way is a fine option. I usually prefer to multiply first and divide by 3. So I'm going to take 1077.02 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 7 is 28, 4 times 7 is 28, and 2 more makes 30. 4 times 0 is 0, and 3 more is 3. 4 times 1 is 4. Again, we have two decimal places. So 4 times 1077.02 was 308.08, but we still have to divide that by 3. So I'm going to take 4,000, I'm going to do it over here, 4,308.08 and divide that by 3. 3 times 4 is 1, which is 3, so there's 1 left over. Bring down the 3. 3 goes into 13 4 times, which is 12. 1 left over, bring down the 0. 3 goes into 10 3 times, which is 9. 1 left over, bring down the 8. 3 goes into 18 6 times, which is 18. Sorry about that. Nothing left over, so bring down our 0. 3 goes into 0 0 times, bring down our 8. 3 goes into 8 twice, which is 6. 2 left over. And we could keep going, but that's enough to round it. If we round that, we would get 1,436 cubic inches of space inside that balloon. So what is the volume of the balloon? The volume of the balloon is 1,436 cubic inches. Let's do one more example. A spherical drinking glass with a diameter of, a cylindrical drinking glass with a diameter of 4 inches and a height of 7 inches is filled with 35 cubic inches of water. What percent of the glass is full? Round the nearest whole number when necessary. Well, go back to your volume formulas. The volume for a cylinder is pi times the radius squared times the height. So it's telling us that the diameter is 4, which means that the radius is 2. So the volume is 3.14 times the radius, which is 2, squared, times the height, which is 7. So the volume is equal to, and we need to start with the exponent, 3.14 times 4, which is 2 squared, times 7. I'm going to go ahead and do 4 times 7 first. 4 times 7 is 28, and we need to multiply that by 3.14. If we multiply 3.14 by 28, and I'm going to go ahead and use the calculator so that we can save some time in the video, you would need to take the time to multiply that out. 3.14 times 28 is 87.92. So we have the volume is equal to 87.92 cubic inches. Now it's telling us that part of the glass is full. So the part that's full is 35 out of 87.92. And it's asking us what percent. We have a fraction, so we can divide to make that a percent. 35 divided by 87.92, which gives us 0.398. The 8 rounds the 9, which makes 0.40. The glass is 40% full. So if we were to restate our answer, we would say the glass is 40% full. Let's summarize what we've learned. We've learned that volume is the number of cubic units that fill a three-dimensional container. We know that all three-dimensional figures have volume, but we're focusing on spheres, cones, and cylinders. Formulas can be found on your formula sheet.